had a bone to pick with you about this movie, but now it turns out you don't even know what this one was about.
Yeah, no, like totally my bad.
Hi, I'm Danielle.
And I'm Del.
And this is the Black Catch-Up, where we're catching up on iconic black media we missed out on in our more conservative religious childhood.
Alright, so today we watched a relatively recent one. Fruitvale Station.
Yes, we did. So, as always, I am DB. The story of Oscar Grant III, a 22-year-old Bay Area resident who crosses paths with friends, enemies, and family and strangers on the last day of 2008.
Okay.
Yep. So, things we liked.
Yeah.
Things we didn't like.
Yeah, I guess I'll kick this one off.
Okay.
I actually liked, I guess Oscar's character and most of his, relationships. They all seem just very, real and believable, but still, kind of quality. You know, definitely, not perfect, but still, good,
yeah.
You know? I feel like a lot of movies, there's always, why are these people even together kind of questions, or, that's a very toxic relationship, or, okay, that's almost, too perfect. So, I don't know, I thought it was a nice balance of, showing the highlights and lowlights.
Yeah, it was
him
very
and Sofina
human.
seemed to... Sofina, yeah. I thought they communicated with each other pretty well, you know,
Yeah.
I just enjoyed, kind of all the, relationships in the movie.
Yeah. The first thing I said was I like how ordinary the day was, because I personally love when movies just have, a very tight time frame where you're just, looking at, a true snapshot of something where it's, either it's a day or maybe 12 hours or something like that. I really like that. And I thought this was really well done, how it's just such a tight amount of time and just how ordinary the day was. He wasn't doing anything spectacular. He wasn't particularly extraordinary, as mean as that sounds. He's just not a superhuman or anything. He's just a regular person just going about his day and trying his best, basically. The sad thing was the dog that randomly got hit by a car.
Yeah,
that really threw me.
That hurt. Because I was watching and I was like, oh, he's about to pick up a new puppy. Nice. And then, no, 2 minutes later.
No, he did not pick up a new puppy.
I was like, whoa.
Yeah, that kind of was wild to me. But everything else about the day was pretty much it could be a day that you or I had, essentially.
Yeah.
So I really like that aspect of it.
That was kind of my second point, too. I just thought, it was such a beautiful retelling of kind of the story. And, again, like you said, it really just focused on those, everyday moments. You know, it didn't...
Yeah.
I guess he had, been to prison in his past. It didn't focus on that.
Yeah.
There were a lot of things they could have chosen to focus on, but they kind of just chose to focus on, okay, what would he normally be doing on this day? They had, the relationship with, his mom and his mom's birthday kind of thing in the background to kind of give it some motion, but other than that, it was kind of just them going through a regular day, and I thought that was really nice. And there were some really just beautiful shots, just some beautiful camera work where I don't know, the camera would be shaky or just a really long shot, just kind of following him around in a group kind of thing. So I just like how it was such a regular story as well.
Yeah. Is it your turn or mine? Because I didn't know if you actually made your own. Okay.
Yeah, that was actually my second point, but
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I said I think that Michael B. Jordan did a really good job of portraying someone who wants to do better with his life, but just hasn't figured it quite out yet. I feel very odd calling this person a character because it was a real person. This is based off a true story.
Yeah.
But I think he did a really good job of showing the nuance and the various shading that Oscar had, where he wasn't a completely perfect person, but you got to see those glimpses of him wanting a better life for himself, wanting a better life for his daughter and his girlfriend and his mom and his sister, and even random people he sees on the streets. He was a really nice person, but you still did it didn't make him a complete angel, I guess. It still showed that he still kind of was he still had his temper, he still was mixed up in drugs, and I didn't understand the tree thing, but I I guess
Yeah.
that had to do with smoking drugs in the car. I'm assuming I sound so lame, but I was like, the tree? I don't know. I thought that was a weird way to call it, but I can't speak to that, but whatever. But I thought they did a good job of like just shading him in so you saw the good and the bad, and it was like balanced, and he was just very human, and I think Michael B. Jordan did a great job portraying that. Yeah,
I think one of the best scenes that kind of portrayed that was the grocery store scene with Katie, or him. I think her name was Katie.
Her name was
where, like,
Katie.
He's like being really super nice to this lady, just like kind of like essentially doing again like what used to be his job, and then he goes and like is like kind of begging for his job, and you see that kind of like anger and that fire inside kind of start to ignite. So
and like, you want me to go back to selling dope? Is that what you want? And it's like, it technically wouldn't be his fault if you do, but like, I get your passion, I admire your spirit, like all that stuff. They did a good job.
The last, or not the last point, but the next one I really liked the New Year's on the train scene.
Oh, I love that too.
Them like turning it into a party. I thought that was just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And, like, just like
I said I liked everyone dancing on the
People,
subway.
you know?
Yeah, I just thought it was so joyful too.
Like turning like a down situation, like, oh, train got delayed, like, you know what? We're gonna have our party here. Like, we got people,
I loved that scene. It was so good. You know? Everyone was like dancing and singing. I love that.
Yeah.
So I hope I say this correctly, but I think that it was very, I know this is based off a true story. Like, let's get that out of the way. But I think that with the true story, there was something very like raw and very heartbreaking about it being happening on like New Year's Eve. New Year's Day, just because that's a day that you associate with like new beginnings and starting over and starting fresh, and that's what he wanted to do the entire time. So like, granted, he doesn't have any control over when he dies, obviously, but like, I just think there was something so heartbreaking about it happening on New Year's Day, because it's like, you see him, and he had just had that talk with that one guy he saw outside the shop about like, oh, I think I want to ask my girlfriend to marry me, but like, I have no money. And like, he's like, and the guy's like, there's no right time. You just have to like go for it, and you just have to do it. And it kind of like, I just thought this did a good job of like, it was very heartbreaking. And I think it also was heartbreaking because you got to see all his broken promises that he was sewing in, but they were like unintended broken promises, you know? Like when he said, and when I come back, we can play Candyland or something like that. That's obviously not going to happen, but it's not his fault. So, like, I just thought it was good. It was just a good story.
No, I kind of agree with that. Like, I think that was kind of, like, what I had with that, like, beautiful, like, retelling of this. Because, like, it is a sad story. And, like, I feel like a lot of times when these stories are retold, they use that, like, the actual, like, murder as such a crutch to, like, bring out that sadness in you. But in this movie, I feel like it was everything else that kind of brought out the sadness. You know, like, the other scene I had was, like, I thought that period from like the cops like arresting them to the end of the movie was really good, because they didn't just like have him die on the spot, you know, like they showed that to me, that hospital scene was like, that's like really what kind of broke my heart, you know.
That was so heart-wrenching.
I just liked how it was like so much more than just showing like, oh, he was a good guy and then got killed, you know, like it was like all the intricate little details that really made him like, I don't know, like made you like feel for him as a person, you know, because like he was a person, you know.
Yeah, that just speaks to how ordinary it was. They didn't like sensationalize anything or like heighten it. Like really is what happened. He died on the way to the hospital. He like got to the hospital and then he died from like complications or whatever. But like even the hospital scene was like very raw and very real, and Octavia Spencer, his mom, did such a great job portraying that.
No, she was
and
great.
Just like trying to be the rock for everybody whilst she was there. And she was like, no fighting, guys. We just need to put all our energy into making sure he gets better, and like putting her thoughts to that, and then like hearing that he's dead, and then like going, I need to see him. And then you finally see her break when she sees it's her son lying dead. Like, acted that, so wonderfully. Yeah, once that last hug, that scene was heartbreaking. That was so sad. I should have watched this one first.
Yeah, I know, for real. Okay. Yeah, I guess the last thing I had kind of surprised me, but I really did like the on-screen text they showed. Not expecting to like that. Usually not a thing I go for. And when I first saw it, I was like, all right, let me put this in the negative column right now. And then by the end of it, I was like actually kind of appreciating it. So
I liked it
that
too.
bumped its way up to the positive column.
Even when he was like typing things and you saw things like move from like Marcus to Mom.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed those little bits where like you see him typing in something. Like, I like that.
Yeah. Okay.
So any negatives? Do you have any negatives?
I guess the first one I had was not really the movie's fault, but just the based on a true storyness of the movie. And I guess this one's not as old, so it didn't upset me. Or this one's not as old, so like that feeling of like, damn, nothing's changed didn't hit as intensely as usual. But just that kind of like, I don't know. That again, like, we shouldn't need true stories to make movies like this, you know?
Yeah.
But
I think I said it sucked.
I don't know.
I said it sucked how arbitrary the situation was because it was like they were on the train and there was a fight that broke out. Then the police were called, but like the police had no way of knowing who was fighting.
They
just pulled off people.
The whole thing, honestly.
Yeah, they just pulled off people. They were like, "Can you go step out the car?" It's like, but I'm not doing anything. Like that's essentially.
Yeah.
But whatever.
And the thing is, like, had the police not shown up, like the situation would have de-escalated itself. Like the aggressors left. Like people would have resumed their train ride. You know.
Yeah.
But.
So that was bad. And I also thought it was interesting how we haven't had any new excuses because the guy said he thought he reached for his taser, but he got a gun.
Yeah.
And isn't that something that someone said like a couple months, a year ago or something like that?
No, that is. No, not even a year. Not even a year.
Okay, good.
I didn't. Yep.
I'm very bad at the timeline, but I was like, that sounds familiar. We don't even have any new excuses.
Yeah. And like, again, it's like, I don't know. There's no way he made that excuse, that actually, because like, I don't know if
that's
they did
what
this
it.
just
When
for
I
the
looked
movie,
it up,
like,
that's what he said.
The tasers were yellow. You know, the tasers were yellow.
No,
I don't know if they're yellow in real
yellow.
life, but
they're not black in real life. Not like those ones, I don't think.
And also, that shouldn't be an acceptable excuse if your whole job is to be a cop and like that's part of
you
like
need
that,
to know
that's
your
part
weapons.
of your uniform. You know, like you can't be making mistakes like that. Like you absolutely can't. You know.
Yeah.
But, I doubt it was an actual mistake, but you know.
No, it was not an actual.
Seems like he wanted to. I guess judging off the movie, you know, it seems like one of those like, oh, I want to be more intimidating than the guys with tasers, so I'm going to pull out my gun and not use it. And then, you know, things happen. You know, so not an excuse, but.
Did you have anything else in the dislikes?
The last one I had, which kind of goes up to the point you brought up about the tree stuff, like I thought it was just kind of like weird that like they chose like weed to be that like absolute worst thing, like when he was like threatening his boss. Yeah, no, they were only talking about weed this movie. The whole movie they were just talking about weed. Yeah.
I think the tree thing threw me off.
Yeah, no.
I was so confused. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Tree? She was like, after you smoke a tree or chopped a tree, and I was like, what the shit is this racing? I'm like, maybe it's because I'm not from that area, but what is this?
Yeah. And I guess, so what happened in that scene was, I guess that was when the friend smoked weed and asked him if he wanted to smoke, and he was like, nah. No. And so I guess the Sofina smelled that and said something about
it. So it was still in his car,
but,
and it's just, again, it spoke to him, like, not quite doing the right thing. Like, granted, he did the right thing by not smoking himself, but it still, like, was in the car, I guess, and he was about to go pick up his daughter, that whole thing. Yeah.
But, like... Yeah, then even, like, the threat with the boss, like, I don't know, he was like, you want me to go back to selling dope? I was like, okay, like, that's not your boss's business, really.
I know,
like,
once you off the clock, it's not on him.
Yeah, like, that, you could have been doing that and still had the job, too, you know, like.
Yeah.
These two things aren't related at all, you know, but.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I didn't really have anything else.
Yeah. This was almost encroaching on documentary territory in terms of me being like, I feel weird saying anything, like, negative about someone's story. But the only thing that I had besides like how sucky the situation was I almost wish that instead of us seeing what happened before the whole thing, I almost wish we got that at the end, just so that we really would have been at like a regular day with him, and we wouldn't have that like.
Repeat that. Which part?
In the beginning of the movie, like the very, very beginning, we saw the actual like phone clip of what happened at the station that day.
Okay.
I almost wish we didn't, and we just saw that at the end or something like that. Maybe like over the credits or something, just so that for us, the audience, it was just we truly got to see the experience completely through him as like this is a regular day. this is so ordinary. Nothing bad
yeah.
is going to happen. I'm going to go to a New Year's Eve party, then go back home. Like, I almost wish it was that. And then
I definitely get that. I will say, I kind of I don't know why that scene didn't register with me what was going on. Like,
it registered with me immediately.
Yeah, no, in my head, I didn't know what this movie was. In my head, before looking up the movie to watch it, I thought this was like an older horror movie with Denzel Washington.
Oh,
but that's
my
totally not what it was. So like when I tell you,
it was horror in a different way, but
it was like nowhere near what I expected to see. I don't know what I thought it was, but like that's what I thought this was gonna be. So like I was watching it and like I knew Michael B. Jordan. I was like, oh, maybe I just confused Denzel for Michael. Honest mistake. And so like that scene came on and I was like, oh, this is weird. Like. Okay. And then like once the movie started going, I was like, oh, this is actually enjoyable. Then like it clicked somewhere like I don't know, at like that hour mark, I was like, oh, I see what this is. And then I was like, okay, so I definitely get what you mean, like not having that scene in there.
Yeah.
But
I'm only doing it for I want it to be like almost authentic in the way that it's just an ordinary day and then something bad happens and we don't know what's gonna happen. Almost like Do the Right Thing with the powder keg exploding, but not quite because we don't see any. This really just kind of sparks off, and I think that's what makes it even more like intense and real.
Yeah.
But like, not even for I want people to know that this is. I don't want people to think this is a horror movie, but just like, no, I just thought it was a regular day. I thought it'd be interesting if it was that way instead of this way, but it was fine this way too.
I definitely get that.
Okay, ratings.
Okay. I give this one a 4. Honestly, like, kind of wanted to give it a 4.5, but like, again, the based on the true story got me like kind of upset, so it bumped it down a little bit. But I really did like this movie a lot. And again, like I said, like I was watching it just as a movie and was like really enjoying it because I kind of again missed that like first little scene there. So I thought all the characters were done really well. The relationships were done well. Like. Very believable, and again, it was just like a very good retelling of a sad story. Like it really did focus on kind of the things that make life beautiful, and not, the things that make death scary or something. So I really enjoyed this one.
I also gave this one a 4 out of 5. I think it was told extremely well. Everyone's acting was fabulous, top notch. And again, I can't say it enough. I just loved how ordinary the day was and how real and human everyone was. And my one gripe was I almost wish we didn't know what was going to happen in the beginning. So we were seeing it like how Oscar was. And also, this one has no rewatchability for me. And that always is a factor.
Oh, yeah.
And only because I don't like watching black people die like how we do in the streets. Like, I hate it so much. But, like... That's what this story was. So it was told well, but I will not be watching this again.
No, I will not be watching it again. Either.
And I always factor rewatchability in at least a little bit in my reviews, just because I think if I can watch it again, I think that's a sign that I enjoyed it and want to see it again. But like, no, I don't want to see this again. Or maybe I would see it again, but then just like cut it off after the fight.
Yeah, no, because honestly, like again, I wasn't prepared, so I was like waiting for like some relationship drama to pop off. And then, like, once I realized it wasn't, I was like, that was when it clicked, and I was like, oh, I see what this movie is.
That's so interesting, because when you watch it like me, I was scared the whole time.
Yeah.
I was, because I knew what this story was about, and I like read the thing and was like true story, and I was like, oh no. And I remember seeing the little part, the found footage in the beginning from the phone camera, and I was like, oh no, this is gonna happen. And as soon as he got on the train, I was like, I hate it. So
yeah.
We definitely were watching essentially 2 different movies, but also the same movie.
Definitely for like that first half, they were 2 very different movies.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, so that was rating. Final question: do you wish you saw it sooner?
I'm gonna say no. Just because I'm fine now.
Yeah.
And also, this happened when I was younger, because this was like 2009, I think is what they said. 2009 or something like that. So I wouldn't have any memory of this actual event. So it's not like a George Floyd thing where I would have already known that. But I don't think I needed to see this sooner. I think now when I'm seeing it is fine. But also if I saw it like a week or 2 later, I would have still be fine. Like, This is very much a story that has been told multiple times of a Black person being shot and killed unfairly by the police. So almost when you've seen one, you've seen them all. But this is still done really well. But I don't need to see any story like this sooner.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
No, that does make sense, because I actually said, yes, I do wish I saw it sooner, but the reason was kind of related. Like, I wish I saw this one before seeing a lot of, like, those more, like, gruesome tellings, or, like, those more, like, straightforward brute tellings that, like, have kind of gotten me to this state of being, like, kind of jaded about these things. You know, and just not wanting to see it. So, like, again, like, I got to this movie, and, like, as soon as I saw the cops come, I wanted to turn it off. You know, and, like, I think had I seen this one, you know, I guess maybe before I, like, became conscious of the world around me, or, like, all the, you know, disgusting stuff in the world, like, maybe I would have, like, I don't know, been, like, I guess a little more open to watching it, or, like, I don't know, like, it was just that weird feeling of, like, I just wish I didn't watch all of those, like, ones where they, like, all those ones that just aren't as beautiful of a telling, you know, like, I wish of all the movies like this I've seen, that this would have been one of the earlier ones, you know?
That makes sense. Yeah.
But, yeah, that was Fruitvale Station.
Yes, it was.
YouTube housekeeping, like, comment, subscribe.
Ring the bell for notifications. If you have any suggestions for movies for us, you can leave them in the comments down below. We do movies on Tuesdays and Fridays. All of our socials will be linked in the description box down below. And we'll see you next time to catch up. Bye. Telling the viewers, we now have a doc on our thing, on our, like, Google Drive, where we put our movie suggestions in. And, like, earlier this week, I put all of my ideas of movies I wanted to watch in there. And I had just gone through, like, my Netflix, my Hulu, all that stuff, and was like, basically went under the, like, Black Lives Matter section and was like, what movies do you want to see? And I saw this one. And I saw that Michael B. Jordan was in it. And I was like, oh, bitchin'. And then I looked and saw what it was about. And I was like, nope, I can't do that right now. I can't put that on my list. And then lo and behold, when we were going over what movies we wanted to see, you were like, hey, what about Fruitvale Station? And I was like, you bitch. You awful human. What is wrong with you?
I apologize. But I will say, in my defense, this one was viewer requested. So shout out to my friend Fran, who recommended Fruitvale Station. But yeah. I did not. Yeah.